right, everybody, good evening. I want to welcome you to December. It is December 1st. It is a Thursday. It is 8:51 p.m. Eastern here. We are starting off tonight's live stream downtown, right on Canal Street. We are going to be walking up towards the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. Hopefully we will be able to make it there on time. I do believe they light the tree between 5 p.m. Eastern and 11 p.m. every single day. However, it will be lit 24 hours on Christmas Day. So there's a couple things we need to talk about today, because oftentimes on the live stream, what we try to do is we try to use leading indicators to build a macroeconomic framework first as part of our systematic approach to investing. So today we got a very, very key piece of economic news coming out of the Institute for Supply Management. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, on the first business day of every single month, we hear from the Institute for Supply Management as they release their PMI numbers. Yes, the Purchasers Managers Index. And as we've been talking about on the stream, we can use this index as a very critical leading economic indicator. So, the US manufacturing sector slipped into contraction with the PMI at its lowest level since COVID in 2020, coming in at a reading of 49%. Now, Business Survey Committee panelists reporting softening in new order rates over the last 6 months, with the November index reading reflecting companies are preparing for future lower output. So this is very important. We are going to be talking about this tonight. However, if you guys want to follow along, and I would highly, highly recommend you do this, please type !PMI in the chat, and our Nightbot is going to drop the manufacturing report on business. Now, we've done streams before where I've explained how to interpret this data and how to look at it. So that's exactly what we're going to be reviewing tonight. But once again, if you type !PMI in the chat, it will drop the link where you can look at the report for yourself. Now, if you scroll about, I would say, a quarter of the way down the page, right, as you get to that report, in my view, the most important and the most critical section of this report is what respondents are saying, okay? We actually get a read-in or a key-in on what the major manufacturers are saying based upon which individual industry segment that they deal in. So this is very critical as we go to look at this as a leading economic indicator. Today we also got some inflation data out. We got the PCE data, and inflation, even though it did increase about 0.2% in October, it was less than what many economists were expecting on Wall Street. Tomorrow is a big day, everybody, as well. We do have to take into consideration that we will be getting the jobs report. Yes, so the non-farm payrolls will be coming out tomorrow. We will also be getting that very, very important and critical unemployment number, or the unemployment rate, which currently stands at about 3.7% here in the United States. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that introduction. I'm going to close my laptop here for a moment. I will be taking you guys down to the street level as we walk up to Radio City Music Hall, Rockefeller Center, and hopefully we'll be able to see the tree all lit up. But give me one moment, please, and I'll say hello to all of the viewers in the chat, and we will get started. But once again, welcome to December, back to reality. Hopefully you all finish the year very strong. All right, everybody, so we are in the WeWork office. Let us head out. Now, the WeWork offices are fantastic. I've sort of said that before. The only critique that I have about the WeWork's offices is that regardless of the time of day, doesn't matter if it's morning, noon, or night, peak work hours, they're sure to blast the music like it's some sort of a nightclub. But it's all right. We could deal with that. No big deal. All right, let's go to street level and we'll see you guys down there. I think I'm gonna have to put on a hat tonight. It's very cold. Hopefully it's not too windy though. We'll see. Ooh, it is freezing out. Yikes. All right, let me scroll up to the top and see who we have in the chat, my friends. Hey, I see Delia Kelly. Good evening. Happy Thursday to you. My friend Dan Zhang is here. C. Lavender says, hey, Tom and team. Good to see you. Mike C. Julia M. British Gray. Connie Ruiz. Hey, Connie. Welcome from Mexico. Charlie Richardson. Mike C. Just came in fourth. It's one of my earliest. Good to see you, Mike. Solo 401. Always a pleasure. Jason, Joe Driver, Julia M. Brian is here. Good to see you, Brian. Lee, thank you for joining. Blue, thank you for your 1,000 Korean won donation. I appreciate it very, very much. Brian says happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all. Right back at you. I appreciate that. Wishing you well wishes as well. MCW UPS1, what's up? Wilman says hello from New Zealand. Love that. Desi is here. Savi, Neil Bell. Good to see you, Navi. Good to see you, Neil. Cowabunga is here. RJ. And we pretty much got everybody. Stephanie. Oh my God. All right, so everybody, I do have to say, I'm going to apologize in advance for the wind noise. It is a very, very frigid night out here in the city. I mean, my God. Also very windy, but I'm excited, and I'll tell you why. This is the first day, or the full day, that the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree is all lit up. So I think it's going to be interesting to see it. Hopefully we'll be able to see it on time before they turn the lights off. If you look all the way in the distance, that is the Chrysler building. So we're essentially going to use that as our guidepost and head all the way up there. Jay Sully is here, says hello all. What's up, Jay? Steph UH says, hey Tom, hey all, just checking in. I'm at a hockey game. Hey, enjoy your hockey game. Enjoy your time. That's awesome. Big Mikey says, good evening from Missouri. Welcome, Mikey. Thank you so much for joining us here in New York City. Smee Media says, use the word critique. I'm going to start using that word instead of criticism. Awesome tip to pick up. Diana is here. Welcome. Yeah, I mean, look, the UPS, the WeWork's offices are really, really nice. That is the only critique I have of them, is it doesn't matter the time of day. They, for whatever reason, they feel the need to blast and pound the music like it's some sort of a nightclub. And it's tough when you're on conference calls unless you have noise-canceling headphones, because you'll have Whitney Houston belting out the tunes in the back. You'll have Justin Bieber doing his thing. And these are all great people. I mean, they're fantastic, very, very talented. But I'm trying to close deals. Penelope is here. Good to see you, Penelope. Welcome. Penelope is joining us from the one and only Tennessee. I trust that is a lot warmer in Tennessee than it is here. So this is going to be a good stream because we're actually going to be walking up through Soho tonight. And obviously, as you know, love the architecture here, especially the scaffolding. Not the scaffolding, the fire escapes that are on the buildings here. It's fantastic. But the main overarching theme of the live stream tonight is the Institute for Supply Management PMI numbers. Now, we've talked about this on the stream at length, okay? So just a quick reminder for the people that are just joining. The PMI numbers are released by the Institute for Supply Management. What's going on down here? On the first business day of every single month, right? Now, we always talk about the fact that it's not necessarily the physical number or the print that matters most. In my view, it's the trajectory of those PMIs. And if you look at it at the report in face value and you just say, oh, okay, you know, the PMIs are above 50, so that signals expansion in the manufacturing sector, and then you didn't do any more diligence into it, well, you wouldn't sort of know the environment you're operating in, right? Are the PMIs at 54, for example, but are they coming from 58, right? That would signify deceleration or declining PMIs. And this is why it's important, you know, if you utilize Microsoft Excel, you could actually plot the PMIs in a spreadsheet. And what you'll notice is you'll start to see the business cycle live right before your eyes. So we did get a reading of 49, which signals contraction in the manufacturing sector in the United States. Look at this tattoo place. Hey.
I need your help.
Yeah, how can I help?
Picture if you can click for both of us.
Oh, sure,
With
yeah.
that frame in the background.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Sure.
you so much. So
Yeah, no problem.
From here. And
Okay.
I need that lighting in now.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
No problem, yeah.
Were you vlogging?
Yeah. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, I think we got it.
Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Look at the tattoo parlor here. Very unique designs on the wall. So the PMI report, right? We got a reading of 49, which signals contraction. But again, if you had just looked at the mainstream, or I would say the mainstream financial channels, and just checked in on the numbers, well, you would be in for a rude awakening today, because you're like, oh my gosh, the manufacturing sector is in a decline or contraction. But if you have been diligent in tracking and paying attention to the PMIs over the course of the year, we've been predicting this, and the PMIs have been predicting contraction for the past 8 months, right? So this is nothing new to us, right? The people watching the live stream, the people who know how to interpret this data in the appropriate way as portfolio managers and traders, this is nothing new. Now, what I also want to do today is take a deep dive look at the specific industries that are showing expansion and contraction in the economy, and how we can maybe use those clues maybe to generate some trade ideas, or even check up on the health of other industries such as housing, consumer electronics and appliances, all that good stuff. Gigi NYC is here. What's up, Gigi? Dusty Cole, welcome. Good to see you. Smee Medius is very nice. Abby1 is here. Good to see you, Abby. We are walking through Soho tonight. Beautiful night. Jay Victor. Abdullah, what's up? Joe Driver. Dan Zhang says, Tom, Ulta Beauty released their earnings today. It sent the stock to another all-time record high. Dan, I didn't have time to check that out. What did they report? Now, to Dan's point, there's a really interesting sort of fact here, and I don't even know why it's true, but it is. But people tend to spend more on beauty products and makeup products during a recession or economic downturns. Does anybody have any clue as to why? Right, or maybe why? Who knows? Maybe it's because people are going on more interviews if they're thrown out of a job. I don't know, but that is true though. Hey, Brian says, I just ordered one of your book recommendations. Which one? Which one did you wind up getting? I would love to know. NG is here, says hello all. Good to see you, NG. Sean says BlackRock and Blackstone got hammered today. Freezing withdrawals. Freezing withdrawals. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't know. Hawaii is here. Says hola, Tom and everybody. Just got in from Hawaii today. Wow. I bet you 100% Hawaii is a lot nicer weather than it is here in New York. It's freezing today. Oh, Brian says you got One Up on Wall Street. That's a fantastic choice. Now, One Up on Wall Street is by Peter Lynch, the former Fidelity Magellan Fund mutual fund manager. Now, I would like to recommend another book that's really, really good. You know, now that we're getting closer to the holidays, you know, maybe if you want to buy one of these books for like a stocking stuffer or something like that, I would recommend a book by Phil Fisher called Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits by Phil Fisher. Very, very good book. Hey, Brad's Brain. This is BlackRock's ESG fund is a disaster. Yeah, you know, we were talking about that too, and to Brad's point, now you guys know how I feel about ESG, right? I think the overarching theme of ESG originally was a positive, but it is morphed into this, I don't know, I think I'm just gonna keep it simple, just nonsense, I guess is appropriate. Now, there was some news out of BlackRock that said that the demand for a lot of their ESG funds and ETFs and things like that is so low that they will be shuttering them. And I've always had this stipulation that ESG was just used as a mere, you know, marketing tactic to attract AUM, and also for like corporate gloating, you know, sort of like giving yourself a nice pat on the back. And none of these corporations really mean it, right? It's all smoke and mirrors. And it's funny because I actually watched some of the interview with Sam Bankman-Fried as he was being interviewed by Andrew Ross Sorkin. Speaking of Ulta, Sephora is another beauty store. He was being interviewed by Andrew Ross Sorkin, and one of the things that came out of Sam Bankman-Fried's mouth is exactly what we've been talking about as it relates to ESG on these live streams, that the vast majority of it is nonsense, right? It's just these corporations don't really mean it. It's a way for them to show, quote unquote, show that they care without really caring. And it creates this very toxic corporate hierarchy nonsense that it's all smoke and mirrors. And Sam Bankman-Fried admitted that. He's like, look, we had to play the game and pretend we cared about all these causes when we didn't. And that's exactly what goes on, right? Hopefully you don't get the channel taken down for that, but... Hey, Dan says, I hope he doesn't get anything and get cut free. Joe Driver, good to see you. Daza UK says, hey Tom. Good to see you. Welcome. LT Prod. Yeah, Thiz Monster says a lot of it is for PR, right? A lot of it is for PR. Now, Sparks Carnival says happy holidays. Thank you, Sparks Carnival. Happy holidays to you as well. Now, where ESGs become very dangerous is providing these ESG scores on specific businesses and even countries, to where if you don't meet these specific ESG standards, well, you're not going to get capitalized, you are not going to get financed, and pretty much you may get cut off entirely. So this has created a situation where corporations just sort of merely need to check the box just so they can play nice with the big asset managers. But yeah, it's definitely crazy. Carol H is here. Says, hey Tom and friends. What's up, Carol? Good to see you. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving with your family and friends. To be GMO. Is it really different than it's always been? Just different issues, but same mentality? I think the thing that's very, very different now, as it relates to, all of that sort of nonsense, is if you don't meet these standards and do this and play along with the ESG nonsense, you're not going to get funding or capitalized, things like that. But look, I'm optimistic. I think a lot of that stuff is going to be rolled back, especially now. So here we are at Houston Street. I should say West Houston. It is freezing cold tonight. We are across the street from the Adidas store. Now, I want to quickly touch on something that came out of the Institute for Supply Management PMI report today, right? So we know that manufacturing is now officially in contraction. So a reading over 50 signals expansion in the manufacturing sector of the US economy, and a reading below 50 signals contraction, right? So we got a 49% reading today, but as you know, the PMIs actually peaked last November, and the market rolled over in January. So when we're talking about using leading indicators, if you go back throughout the history of these PMI numbers, the PMIs peaked about 2 months before the stock market peaked. So I'm assuming the same exact thing here. I think you're going to see the PMIs bottom and turn up before the stock market. But it seems as of now we are still seeing steep deceleration. I believe the PMIs last month was 52. Now it is 49. Now, of the 6 biggest manufacturing industries, petroleum and coal, as well as transportation equipment, registered weak but moderate growth. So those were really the only 2 industries that saw some bright sides, right? Petroleum and coal, as well as transportation. I always love looking at these cobblestone streets here. Really, really unique and beautiful. And transportation equipment. And as we think about, right, first building a macroeconomic framework and then working from the bottom up, right, so a top-down, bottom-up, we can use the different, and this is all on a relative basis, by the way, right, but we could just use these different tools to generate trade ideas. So if you remember, going back the past 2 PMI reports, it was sort of saying the same exact thing, right? We always saw the same industries in expansion and the same industries in contraction. Now, I think it's pretty obvious that if you looked over the course of 2022, what were the main sectors that were the leaders in this market? Well, it was oil and gas, right? I think, and energy specifically. One of my favorite buildings here, such a unique office building. as well as condominiums and apartments. And I think we have a half moon tonight. Hey, Points Traveler says, hey Tom, do you think inflation is cooling off? I think inflation is decelerating. But where I'm concerned is inflation where it matters most. And I know that may be a little bit controversial, but we talked about that. And obviously shelter costs makes up about 33% of the CPI number. And unfortunately, we're not seeing any sort of improvement in shelter cost inflation, but that may be coming, right? That may be coming. Will M is here. Good to see you. Mary Lamb says the moon here is amazing. Good to see you, Mary. Dan Zhang says, Tom, did you watch the Japan beating Spain today? I actually screamed in the office today when they scored their second goal. Dude, I did too, man. That was an awesome game. You know, and I'm happy the Japanese beat the Spanish national team. Mainly because I root for the underdog, right? And Spain was the obvious favorite there. Now, I think the controversy in and around the last goal, so the second goal that the Japanese national team scored, a lot of people were saying it was out of bounds, but it clearly was not. So for those of you who understand the rules of soccer, the ball can technically be out of bounds, right? However, obviously a soccer ball is a sphere. So even if the ball is touching the grass on the opposite side of the line, if the ball is over the line, even hovering over it, right, since it's a sphere, it's still deemed in play. So the goal counted. It was a great goal, and I'm happy they won. Congratulations. I know we have some Japanese viewers, so congratulations on the big win. Now, I think both teams advance anyway, right? Really quick, this is Gasoline Alley Coffee, one of the greatest coffee shops in the city, in my view. Highly recommend it if you ever come to New York. It is right here as you cross over from Houston Street. Rich Child 9 says, I know nothing about soccer. I think it's still fun to watch the World Cup, though, you know, regardless of if you're, you know, familiar with it or not. I know. Monster says Japan beating two post-champs is wild. Yeah, they had a good game against Germany too. You know, I noticed the Japanese national team tends to play very, very well when they're from behind, right? So when they're down, they tend to rally and come back. I always loved watching Japan play in a World Cup because they may not be the most, and I'm trying to word this in the appropriate way, they may not be the most polished players, right? If you look at really any player that plays for, let's say, Argentina or Spain, these are very, very polished players, as I mean, you know, one touch, two touch, knocking it around, really, really good soccer. But Japan will never quit. I mean, they go for every 50-50 ball. You'll never see a lazy player on the Japanese national team. It's just they are always going at it 100%, which makes the games really fun to watch. I think they played a great game. Dan says, one day would it be possible for you to walk in Central Park? Yes, that will be possible. It's just now that it's winter, when we go in Central Park, everything is dark and you can't see anything. But during the summer, if you go back to our live streams during the summer, we would always be around there. It's pitch black in the winter. Whiskas, everybody be well. I have to take care of sick kids. Thank you for the walk, Tom, and talk. Well, please take care, and I'm wishing your kids well. Hopefully it's only like a 1 or 2 day bug or something like that. I'm sure they'll recover. Hey, Bagels and Walks is here. Good to see you, my friend. So this is Bond Street. We're outside one of my favorite apartment buildings here. Very unique down here. Yeah, Wendy England says too dark for the park. GGNYC says I just want to see an underdog win this year. Japan left me speechless, my new favorite team. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So they both played. The game was, I think if, Japan had to win to move on, right? Or I don't think they had to win to move on. So regardless, they still played hard. It was really nice. Now, as we sort of, talk about the specific industries that grew within the manufacturing sector, we did talk about, of the 6 biggest manufacturing industries, that petroleum and coal products and transportation equipment registered weak to moderate growth, but they were growing nonetheless. And as we said before, that same statement that I just made was true over the past 6 months, right? So as we look for leading indicators to generate trade ideas, if we have been paying attention to the PMIs, well, maybe one of the trade ideas we would have came up with as a leading indicator 6 to 8 months ago would be to maybe go long energy, maybe to go long Caterpillar, right? Now, surprisingly, Caterpillar is actually trading at new all-time record highs now. But again, it's not an exact science, right? Markets are very dynamic, but we can put the odds in our favor of success if we look at these specific leading indicators. Now, here's where I would say the bad news comes in, and I think this will tie perfectly in with some of the conversations we're going to have tomorrow. But out of the 12 industries that reported contraction in the following order, okay, so as I read these industries, all of these industries reported contraction last month. In order: printing and activities, wood products, paper products, textiles, furniture products, electrical equipment, and appliances. Okay? So as we think about, again, drilling down deep into this report, looking at the sectors that are contracting, well, the first thing that pops out to me is, okay, housing is probably not doing very well, right? If you have an environment where furniture products are contracting, as well as electronics and appliances are contracting again, well, who are the biggest purchasers of those particular products? Well, usually when the housing market is doing good, people are buying homes. Generally speaking, people have to furnish those homes, right? They have to buy furniture, they have to buy beds, they have to buy appliances, right? Kitchen appliances, washers, dryers. And if you remember, going back almost probably about a year now, actually probably not that long, maybe about 6 months, we've been trying to forecast that potentially towards the end of 2022, there could be coming some very, very good deals on, number one, furniture, and number two, kitchen appliances, because as we were looking at other leading indicators, such as the existing home sales data from the National Association of Realtors, we noticed about 6 months ago very, very steep and rapid deceleration, as well as the Census Bureau as they released their new home sales data, right? So all of this stuff sort of intertwines with one another, and that's why it is very, very important that we pay attention to all of it. Hey, Sparks Carnival says, I'm not bullish on any home furnishing right now. Al Baker says hello from Hollywood, Florida. What's up, Al? Steve CR says, me in Texas, I see no play strategy in hockey or soccer. One hit kick to the end of the field. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta punt it out of there, especially if you're playing a really good team. Carson is here, says, evening, Tom. What's up, Carson? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Michael Joseph says, New York City is looking to hire a rat czar for $170,000 a year. I saw that today on Bloomberg. I would actually argue that's underpaid. Does that sound crazy? Now, if you are dealing with such a massive problem like that and have to deal with, exterminating rats, I mean, think about all the nasty, disgusting places that you have to put yourself through. Think about all the disgusting chemicals and the toxic chemicals that you have to deal with. I would actually argue that's underpaid. 180 grand to deal with that. Spencer's here, says, hey Tom and everybody, good to see you. Fabio says, hey Tom, I saw in the first video on the channel you were doing skateboarding. Are you still skating? And do you know Bob and Sandro, two of the greatest Brazilian skateboarders? So very seldom do I skateboard anymore, mainly because the city is back as it relates to traffic. And these drivers here are egregious, and that's a descriptive word. I'm actually being kind when I say that. When we were doing the skateboarding streams, there was literally no cars in the street, right? This was, during the height of the pandemic. The city was empty, so it presented us a really nice opportunity to do that. Now, things are pretty much back to normal. Think about what we just caught on the live stream a couple days ago with these drivers. So, unfortunately, I try to stay off the board, but I'm not familiar with those two Brazilian skateboarders. But I think skateboarding was an Olympic sport for the first time in history. And I think Brazil won a medal, right? Didn't they? Maybe won the silver? Hey, caller in chat says, finding a house in Delaware is harder than winning the lottery. Now, housing starts are declining. Housing starts are declining and declining rather rapidly. We'll talk about that as well. Chris Beeman says maybe some skating in Miami. Maybe. I thought about it. Good to see you, Chris. Chris is joining us from Arizona as well. Just Barry. DM says, Tom, the New York City director of rodent mitigation, 120 to 170. Yeah, I mean, they definitely deserve the money that they get. But the head guy, I mean, I would even argue that they deserve more. I think you could argue that. All right, everybody, we are now at the one and only, the black cube here. Now, you notice how they put this little box around it? This is to prevent anybody from spinning it, which is kind of a bummer. It was cool to see people spinning around. If you look all the way in the distance, you'll see people selling the Christmas trees again. It's actually good to see because it makes the street smell really, really nice. Hey, Evan Weeks is back. What's up, Evan? Good to see you. Hopefully you had a good day. Trust you well. Fraser McLeod says, hey, Tom, from Alberta, Canada. Oh, it says Alberta is the largest rat-free. They have rat patrol, says Fraser. Interesting. Very interesting. Sanchez says, hey, Tom, how are you? I'm doing very, very well. For those of you who are just joining the live stream, if you type exclamation point PMI in the chat, it is going to drop the link to what we are talking about tonight. Obviously, today is December 1st. It's the first business day of the month. And the first business day of the month, that means the Institute for Supply Management releases its Purchasing Managers Index, or the PMI numbers. And that is a very, very critical leading indicator that we like to look for as we are trying to forecast GDP growth in the United States, as we are trying to forecast corporate earnings, and then lastly, hopefully the direction of the overall market, right? So if you type exclamation point PMI, I've programmed the Nightbot to drop the link to the PMI report. Now, you guys know, since you've been watching the stream for so long, that I think the most critical part of the report is what the respondents are saying, right? It is the feedback and the statements from these purchasing managers. That is absolutely critical, guys, to read. Now, here's something bizarre. 51 Astor Place, the IBM Watson building. The dog is all covered up for some reason. Maybe they're doing some maintenance. Interesting. I know, Evan Weeks is no kidding. I can't believe this year is almost over. It's insane. Dr. Longest says, Tom, do you think Caterpillar have such good numbers because of their move out of Chicago to a friendlier business state? I don't know. I think it may have something to do with it, right? Obviously, if you go to a state that has lower corporate taxes, maybe, probably. I wouldn't say it's everything to do with it, but definitely helps. I don't know. What do you think? You know, let's actually make a right. We haven't really walked down here in a while. Sometimes there's some interesting bars and restaurants here that I think you guys would be interested in seeing. Oh yeah, so everybody, maybe you guys could fill me in on that. I'm seeing a lot of chats about the railroad strike. Anybody want to fill me in on that? As I've said, I haven't really been following it. But supposedly we've come to a solution here. Is that correct? SBK says $180 earnings for next year for the SPX with a 15 multiple puts us at 2,700. What are your thoughts? Well, I think right now the forward PE on the S&P is what, 20? So I think right now, let's assume you buy the S&P today, right? That would mean you are paying 20 times for 2023's earnings. And to your point, we've not only had Morgan Stanley, but I think Goldman Sachs today has released that they are cutting their forward earnings estimates for next year. And this is exactly what we've been saying. Like, that was my biggest concern. That I think the consensus on the stream was that Wall Street expectations for 2023 earnings were a little bit high, right? And when earnings estimates come down, well, the markets need to reprice for that, those earnings. You know, any New Yorkers heard of this coffee shop, Blank Street Coffee? I've been seeing it pop up all over the place. I've only been to it a couple times, and the one that I've been to is on 57th Street. It's actually not bad, but it's more of like a to-go coffee shop, right? Like, you can't really sit in there. I don't think there's any locations where they have large seating area, but the coffee's pretty good. Anybody else been to Blank Street or have heard of it? Hey, caller in chat, thank you so much for the $10 donation. You were very kind. I appreciate it very much. As in case you need a hot coffee. Thank you. Thank you for your donation, and thank you for your support. I appreciate it very, very much. Bagels and Walks is disgusting how many people go without sick days or vacation days. A real dark spot for us. So what did they decide on, Bagels and Walks? Because in full transparency, I just haven't been watching it. Clay G, hey, what's up, Clay? This is the railroad workers have to schedule sick days months in advance, and they only have 3 days. Wow. So here's something that I don't get. Dr. Murray Hill, MD, says Senate passed the measure forcing the railroad unions to accept the tentative agreement without the paid sick days. Measure already passed the House. Biden has to sign it Friday. So are they getting anything out of this? Michael Joseph says Congress voted, but they are not giving them paid sick days like they demanded. Hey, Vlad says we love Blank Street Coffee. It's very good. The coffee is very good, but you can't really sit down in there and drink it. DA says, hey, Tom, do you drink a lot of coffee? I drink a lot more than I should, I think. I drink a lot more coffee than I should. I think that is if I had a major flaw, I think that would be it. But look, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do drugs, but coffee is my vice. However, caffeine is a drug, right? I mean, if we're being honest. Bagels and Walks says, Tom, they're forcing the agreement. The workers don't like it. I think they may still strike regardless. Whoa. Now, here's what I don't understand, right? And I know we're going to have a lot of people agreeing and disagreeing, and that's fine. But I think it's worth the conversation. Now, I'm going to talk from my experience, okay? I remember times when I would have to go to work when I was deathly sick. Like, I couldn't even, like, I was just so sick. And I'm sure many of you guys have had to do that too. Like, physically so ridiculously sick. And the boss would make you travel all the way to the city on the LIRR, go all the way to Melville, just to be in the office, even when you're deathly sick. Now, all of that did a big 180 when the COVID pandemic happened. And now it seems like even if you have the littlest bit of a sniffle, everybody wants you to stay home. And it's funny because Bill Ackman, the CEO and founder of Pershing Square, a major hedge fund based in the city, used to be an activist hedge fund, but they are no longer. Bill Ackman said the same thing. He's like, look, even if you have the littlest bit of a sniffle, you're not feeling good, stay home. There's no real reason for you to come to the office if you're sick, just so you can get everybody else sick. So here's what my conclusion is. My conclusion is that in the investment business, let's say if you work on Wall Street, let's say if you work in tech, something like that, that is I would say manual labor, I think those businesses were able to adapt faster, generally speaking, because they're not unionized, right? But anytime you want to make a material change in a union, it takes quite a long time, right? Even for benefits and things like that. So, I mean, I think it's coming, but I think it's just going to take some time. Now, if they don't give them what they want, I think it's very, very reasonable to say, look, if you're sick, you shouldn't be coming in, right? Because you're actually sick. I think that going through the pandemic has proved that it's just not a very wise thing to do. You know, I think in 10 years, 20 years, you know, maybe when my kids are going into the working world, they're going to be like, what? You had to go into the office when you were sick? That sounds crazy. And I just think it's going to be a natural progression from there. But I don't know. Those are sort of my thoughts on it. I think it's crazy. Here's the last thing I'll say as we head up towards East 12th Street here. You know, very seldom do we come here, so I wanted to show you guys just some different architecture from Midtown Manhattan. Now, why would a company require you to schedule a sick day months in advance? It's not like I plan when I'm sick, right? And I get, you know, the terminology, it's, you know, doesn't really matter, days off, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, if you're sick, you're sick. You can't come to work. And to plan that months in advance, it's not like I plan to be sick. Anyway, Vlad says, agreed, the days when someone in the office would be sneezing all over is wild. Dude, I would be in the office when I would be like death. And my coworkers would come up to me and they're like, dude, you look horrible. You should go home. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll go home. And I would say that to coworkers sometimes when they would come in looking like death. I know, Rich Child once says it's bizarre to plan a sick day, right? Yeah, I think I'm gonna have a sinus infection December 13th. Hey boss, I'm gonna have a sinus infection December 13th of 2023. And then in 2024, looking all the way out there, I think I'm gonna come down with some sort of a stomach bug right around the July 4th holiday. Touring different places, good to see you. Dr. Murray Hill, MD, says, I have planned sick days in advance when I was younger, but I definitely wasn't sick. I know. And I get it, they just call them sick days, right? I know that's not like in a literal sense. I guess we could call it days off. But at the end of the day, it's still ridiculous. All right, we are here at the Ugly Duckling. Now, I have no idea what this is, but it looks like some sort of a bar. I really like the logo, though. Edward Adams says the key is paid sick days. They don't want to pay the workers to be off. Agreed, but I will give some context, and I think I can give some context because I was actually in a union. So I used to be in a local 1101, I think it was, Communication Workers of America. This was back when I was 19 years old. And even though you're protected by the union, it was so absolutely ridiculous. And this is actually one of the reasons why I got let go at my job. I came down with a really, really bad sickness, and I blew through all my sick days. And they're like, look, if you don't come to work, you're gonna get fired. Because at the time we had a points system. Now maybe if there's some union members here, you'll understand what a points system is. If you have unexcused absences, you know, treating you like a child, if you get 5 of them within the year, it's an automatic termination. But I was in the hospital. They wouldn't approve the FMLA or whatever it's called, all the nonsense. And yeah, I got let go because of that. And there was nothing they could do because I burned through all the sick days. And I wasn't asking to be paid. I was just asking not to be fired. But unfortunately, if you hit the 5 points, I think it was, in our contract, there was no can do. Now, after I left, I found out that the new contract, they bumped it up to 7 points from 5 points. So I guess there's some progress there. Yeah, Dan says I would have been fired a long time ago. Now, to be fair, it's not all bad, right? I think that period of my life is really what kick-started my career. I mean, I had amazing benefits. The pay was fantastic. You know, for a 19-year-old, you were making, you know, a lot. And I was getting tuition reimbursement for college, right? So they were paying for my college. I was making a ton of money, but at the end of the day, that's what it was. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, how did you bounce back after being fired / let go? Well, I didn't let them fire me, so technically I was very disgruntled at the time, so I just said, all right, if you're gonna fire me, I quit. And then I just got a job at a competitor, making more money, and I landed a very, very high base salary. Anyway, well, hopefully, the railroad workers get what they want, right? I mean, I think deals are made when both parties feel like they got a good deal, right? I never want to do a deal where either party feels like they got the shaft. That's not how good deals are made. Good deals are made when everybody feels good about the deal. Edward Adams says, I'm a retired union employee as well. As long as you have a verification from the physicians, we were covered. Yeah, I mean, I had doctor's notes from my hematologist, right? Now, I had a very weird blood condition, and I even had a note from the director of hematology saying, look, I'm like, this guy really doesn't... The condition I had was, at the time, was called leukopenia. Was when your immune system is so deteriorated that you physically do not have enough white blood cells for your immune system to function properly. So I was like so deathly sick, I couldn't even get up. And I can't be interacting with people and going to meet clients if I don't have an immune system, right? Anyway, that's way in the past. Pineapple water, good to see you. I know, yeah. So Evan Weeks makes a good point. He's like, bad deals lead to no repeat business. Good deals mean repeat customers. 100%. You know, and a lot of novice and newbie salespeople that don't have any experience, they don't realize this, right? And those are the people who get churned out of the industry very, very fast because they're like, wow, I can make $10,000 on this deal. I can make 20 grand on this deal. And so they just want to close it at all costs. But don't worry about, you know, counting what you would make on the commission. Make sure the customer is satisfied. Make sure the customer is happy. Because if your customer's happy, right, even if you have to make less money on the deal, The good news, where I've made a lot of my money so far in sales, when things started to really, really pick up, is from referrals from customers that I've worked with in the past. So let's say if I was selling into an IT director at a big construction firm, right, contracting firm. Then that IT director goes to a competitor and works as the IT director. He gives me a call. He's like, hey, Tom, I moved on from, EJ Electrical Contracting. I'm now here at so-and-so. I want you to build out our IT infrastructure. I want to tap you on the shoulder to do that because I had such a great experience. Had I beat that guy over the head, right, just to close one sale, I wouldn't have that long existing relationship, and also my reputation would be tarnished, right? So don't think about, I always say, don't think 2 feet in front of your face, right? Think 10, 20, 30 years down the line. What are your clients going to say about you, right? Because it's a very, very small world. And if you do wrong by the customer, chances are you're not going to have a very long, fulfilling, and lucrative career in really whatever you do. Team, this is East 14th Street, Union Square. Now the downside is the Union Square holiday market closes right as we go live. So you guys are never really going to be able to see that unless I go live during the day. But we'll try to walk past it. We'll see the remnants of it, I guess. You could also see the Empire State Building in the background. Evan Weeks says, yeah, reputation is important, especially at higher levels in any professional community. The world gets really, really small really fast. Absolutely. Agreed 100%. Smee Media says, I had a relative with the blood disease. It's serious stuff, Tom. I'm glad you are doing better. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. James says, great points. How many years do you have? How many years have you done in sales now? Maybe about 8. I think it's going on 8 years. Because I think where I got very lucky is I started young and somehow landed a very good sales role when I was very young. And that role actually came because it's funny, one of my first jobs in the city, I was, it was called a service agent at a rental car place. And I would just go on the weekends just for some extra money to wash the cars. Right, so when the people would return the cars, I would wash them and vacuum them and clean them. And I was working on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. So we had a very, very specific set of clients come in, right? And a lot of them, I would look at their contracts, and a lot of them would rent under corporate accounts. And I would see Salesforce, Oracle, all these big software companies. And at the time, I had no idea what it was. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ask these people what it is the heck they do. And I'm going to build a rapport. I'm going to be really nice to these people. And all of these repeat customers would come in and I would just be kind to them and nice to them. And they're saying, look, if you seem really personable, you seem like a good person, I think you would do well in a career in software sales or tech sales. And I got some referrals and I landed a job. Hey, Mary Lamb, good to see you. Evan Weeks says, Tom, I have 28 years in software, started when I was a teenager in the 90s. Whoa, now about to get tapped for CIO position. Dude, that's awesome, man. As soon as the company has capitalized properties, fingers crossed. Evan Weeks, love to hear that, my friend. Congratulations on your success. That is fantastic. Love that. Hey, Juan. Good to see you, Juan. Ryan Beck. This is Good Eye for Talent. Good to see you, Ryan. James stumbled across the stream a week or so ago. Love what you do. Keep it up. Thank you, James. Welcome to New York. All right, I'm gonna have to switch hands because my right hand is freezing off. Quick Korean barbecue recommendation. Now, this is obviously not in Koreatown. This is Union Square. This is a very, very good restaurant. It is called Barn Jew. Very good. Very, very good. I would highly recommend it. If you want to come here, it is right on the corner. It's the northern side of Union Square. So not quite 14th Street, 17th Street, I guess you could call it. But on the northernmost side of the park, adjacent from the bookstore. Sunset Blue is here. Good to see you, Sunset Blue. Michael Joseph says, how do you know so much about finance? I don't know. I always found it interesting. Also, a lot of the people who would come in to the enterprise where I worked were in finance. So, all right, I'll tell you guys a quick story. And then we'll move on, because I want to cover a little bit more of what's in the PMI report, because I want to get in the habit of also, when we go through these leading indicators, the next transition and the next step that I want to talk about is how do we use these leading economic indicators to generate trade ideas, right? So we've pretty much covered the last couple months. We did a very, very good job of talking about the bond market as it relates to the government bond market, right? Or the US Treasury market. We talked about yield curve analysis, how we could use that as a leading indicator. Next week, we are going to start off and kick off part 2 of the series, where we're going to be doing analysis of the corporate bond market and how we could use corporate bonds as a leading indicator, right? And I gave you guys a preface to this already. Obviously, in the same way that the United States government or the Treasury uses bonds, right? Issues bonds in order to raise money to finance government spending. Oh, this guy has a nice electric board here. I guess if you stay in the bike lane, you're fine. I've never really been one to ride the electric boards, though. As you know me, I've just ride the regular kickboards. But in the same way that governments use the bond market or the debt market to raise money to finance government spending, corporations do the same, right? They will issue bonds at rates in order to finance their operations. However, in the corporate bond market, those bonds or the rates or the yields, they're priced, the way they are priced is via spreads based upon the benchmark, which is usually the 10-year US Treasury yield. So what we're going to do is, based upon the classification of those corporate bonds, be it AAA all the way down to CCC, how can we use these bond indices as a leading indicator in hopes to predict GDP growth, in order to predict potential corporate earnings contractions, and then the direction of the S&P 500. But we'll do that later. So there was this guy who always used to come in to the Enterprise on 83rd Street. I can't say his name because finance is a really, really small world. But he was one of the top partners at the Abraj Group. And obviously we know what happened to the Abraj Group. But if you guys want to do some research on that, you can. But this guy was so smart, so knowledgeable. And I was talking to him like, look, I really want to, at the time, I wanted to work at the investment bank in sales and trading, right? That's what I wanted to do. And he gave me some advice. He's like, look, and this is back in what, 2014? This is a long time ago. 2014, 2015. He said, look, I'll give you some advice. He's like, try to get a job in tech, selling software or selling a specific solution, try to break in that way, and then use the money, because it's a very lucrative career, and just learn and network with people in the city. I mean, you live in Manhattan, and then just manage your own money. Try to do it that way. He's like, because, you know, sales and trading at the investment bank, you're gonna learn a ton, right? You will, but the pay isn't exactly what it used to be. And he's like, I think you would learn more skills working at a tech company. I think you're gonna find it more enjoyable. And then in your free time, you have no sort of restrictions on what type of securities you could buy because you don't work for the bank. And then it just so happened a lot of the people that would come into the office were like director level, VP level at Salesforce. They were going on meetings. But the Abraj group, this guy would come in all the time, and he would spend so much money. And every weekend he would take his wife and kids to Shelter Island. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Shelter Island. It's like a very expensive place. And I would go so above and beyond for this guy to, like, you know, network and, you know, have him give me advice. I would pick up his kids from school, all this crazy stuff. And yeah, do some research into the Abraj group. It went under, and I think there was some fraud allegations there too. It's an interesting story if you guys want to read into that. But I think this is the highlight of the stream right here. This is the Empire State Building right outside of the very famous Flatiron Building. Unfortunately, it is covered in scaffolding, but hopefully it'll be down soon. But I think this is the best view of the Empire you're ever going to get in the city. Hey, Thomas Conroy says, what's up, Tom? I trust all as well. Thank you, Thomas. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Hey, Michael Joseph says, I know many people on Shelter Island. Somebody says the liability of managing other people's money seems daunting. I think it does, and I think it would probably kill performance. Now, I don't manage other people's money. I only manage my own money. But I think you're right. I mean, I think if I ever managed other people's money, I don't know if I would perform well at all. Just because I'd be so nervous to lose other people's way. I think if you want to manage other people's money, I think you have to be built completely different, because I would just be so petrified to lose other people's money. Hey, James here says, I started at an investor relations firm this year. Hey, that's awesome, man. I've been learning a ton. Any thoughts on that line of work? Now, investor relations seems pretty cool. Now, I'm not sure if... I think it really depends on what you want to do, right? I think it depends on what you want to do. But investor relations, you're going to meet a lot of really cool people. You're probably going to be wining and dining a lot of clients and stuff like that. I think it just depends on what you want to do. Like, what is your end goal? But I think it's a great start. I mean, really, anytime you start out in a career, I wouldn't necessarily focus on the money first. I would just focus, especially if you're in your early 20s, you just got to focus on getting everybody to know who you are, what your name is, and that you're a hard worker, right? Can people rely on you? Can people count on you? I would just sacrifice my early 20s. I wouldn't really take any weekends. I wouldn't really hang out with any friends. And I would just go all in 24/7, 365 on work and building a network of people. Because when you're 30, you'll look back and you're like, wow, I'm glad I did that. And then you could sort of take a back seat a little bit. But I don't know, investor relations seems cool. I've never done it, but congratulations on the position. All right, this is one of my favorite places in the city. This is Italy. Very, very good. Hey, Brendan is here. Says, how are you, everybody? I'm doing very, very well. Kate is here. Says, Tom, always sensible. You rock. You rock as well. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, my friend manages money. He says when they make money, they take credit, but when they lose, they take the blame. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the business, right? Now, here's something that's also a little weird. Now, I guess it's not weird, but, you know, when you're managing other people's money, like OPM route, one of the major criticisms is, well, the fund managers get paid regardless of if the fund makes money or not. And yeah, of course, I mean, because they're doing the work. I mean, it's not like, it's a lot of work, right? Sometimes they'll underperform, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll make money. But let's say if you work at a hedge fund or something, or maybe you have your own. Usually the structure is like a 2 and 20. So you get a 2% management fee, right, on the AUM of the fund every year, regardless of if the fund makes money, and then 20% of the profits. Now, the biggest criticism is, well, what if you don't make any money? Do you still get the 2%? Most cases, yeah, you do. But, you know, maybe if you're trying to start a hedge fund, and it's a very, very crowded market, and being that most of the hedge funds fail and go to zero, maybe if you're trying to raise money and you have a good value proposition for your fund, you have a really good strategy, a systematic approach to investing where you could sell it to investors. Well, maybe you say, look, instead of investing your money with the other guy, I won't even charge you 2% management fee, right, to keep the lights on. We'll just do 20% of the profits, right? Assuming you have some money saved up if you want to manage money. Okay, check out Madison Square Park from Broadway. Hey, Vladimir is here. Says, hey, Tom, thank you for your streams. Hope you're staying warm. Recommendation, Irish latte. Thank you so much, Vladimir. I'm staying as warm as I can. It is a beautiful night in the city because it's not too windy. Western Mass Dave says, hey, Tom and Chad, happy holidays. Thank you, Dave. James says, might be a little bit off topic, but any thoughts on the Sam Bankman-Fried debacle? Yeah, we've talked about that at length on the stream, so I'll quickly summarize my position. I'm really not following it anymore because we know what happened. It's a fraud. But essentially what Sam did, right, or alleged to do, is take customer deposits and use that to speculate in the markets with a subsidiary that was a hedge fund called Alameda Research. And that is a big no-no, right? I mean, you can't take customer deposits and speculate in the financial markets. Also, what he is alleged of doing is taking customer deposits and using that to buy real estate, using it for personal use, which is also highly, highly unethical. But yeah, I mean, my take on the whole cryptocurrency market in general, and all of you know this, I've said it many, many times, is I would really, really stay away from all of the altcoins, the alternative coins, right? And look, I'm not an expert in securities law. I'm not, but from the little understanding that I think I have, based upon definitions and such, these altcoins are all securities. They are all unlicensed and unregistered securities, and the people that are in charge of these software companies, because they're essentially just software companies, right? The people in charge of these software companies that are distributing these tokens or securities, they are in essence soliciting unregistered securities. And I think the SEC is going to throw the hammer down on that. So I don't really want to be involved in that. Now, the SEC did give a ruling on Bitcoin, stating that Bitcoin is property. It is deemed as property, not a security. That is why I have exposure to Bitcoin. Now, I'm not imposing my beliefs on anybody else. I'm just giving you my thought process. But you do not want to be wrapped up with the SEC either purchasing or soliciting these securities. Now, again, technically right now, they are not deemed as securities. However, I will say this. A lot of these people, especially a lot of people on YouTube that get paid to promote these coins and these exchanges like FTX. Now, number one, I think a lot of people, and again, I never like to be negative and talk negative about people, but I think a lot of people very, very seldom, the ones that I've seen that are making videos about finance, it just doesn't seem like they have a lot of experience, maybe.
Yeah, forget that.
And look, and again, I hate being negative. I don't like talking negative about people, but I think if they were experienced and sort of understood how things work, they wouldn't take those sponsorships because they know there would be potential ramifications, right? Should there be a big ruling. And the same applies with FTX. Now, FTX had their own alternative cryptocurrency, right? The FTX coin. And, you know, people who are getting paid to promote that, you know, if the SEC really wants to be a jerk and come after you, they could say, hey, you took this money and you were soliciting this unregistered and unlicensed security. Do you have a securities license, right? Do you have your series, you know, A, B, C, D, you know, and on and on. And if they really wanted to come after you, you could possibly face jail time, man. So that's why I stay out of it. That's why I don't really think about it. And I've concluded, I think last week, that I would be muting all keywords as it relates to FTX. And now I really don't follow it anymore because I think it's a big waste of time because we know everything that happened, right? I think the media is just going to milk it because everybody's interested in it. And I think it's at the point now where the coverage has diminishing returns. Would you guys agree with that? Would you say that the coverage of the FTX debacle now has diminishing returns? I would say so. So I don't really pay attention anymore. Wow, check this out. This is also another good shot of the Empire. Hey, Gregory's here. What's up, Greg? Trust you're well. Ren 1018. Yeah, and look, I'm not one to sort of point the finger at it, but at the end of the day, I also think we all need to take responsibility as individuals for our own choices. So I understand that the people who are, you know, promoting these altcoins, they're apologizing, but it's not all their fault actually, right? You got to take responsibility for yourself. And, you know, these people didn't put a gun to your head and tell you to invest in this nonsense. You didn't do your diligence. You wanted to be lazy. You wanted to take tips. And that is why on this channel, what is the one thing we harp about all the time, right? Is you need to develop your own systematic approach to investing that you can replicate on your own, right? So you don't have to rely on anybody else to generate trade ideas. That is your responsibility. It is not the responsibility of me. It is not the responsibility of anybody else on the internet. It is not the responsibility of your coworkers, right? That is your responsibility to, if you want to manage money yourself, to build an investing framework that you could replicate. So I think everybody's to blame, right? You can't just say, oh, I lost money in this investment because you told me to invest in it. You know, you share some of that blame, right? Wow, Twitch ASMR, is that true? Says Kevin O'Leary said he would work with Sam Bankman-Fried again. That's insane. I didn't hear that. That's wow. Are you sure? Okay, Twitch ASMR says Kevin O'Leary said he would work with Sam Bankman again, even after all of this in the markets. That's wild. I didn't hear about that. That is, I almost can't even believe that, actually. Ryan Beck says, Baton Motley Fool told me to buy these 3 growth stocks. They are guaranteed winners. You know, Motley Fool is actually a good publication. No, and I understand you're joking and it's funny. But Motley Fool is actually good. Motley Fool has some really, really good analysts there and journalists. Motley Fool is a very, very good publication. but I definitely understand the joke there. And that's another thing, right? For people, like for retail investors and traders, if they'll read one Motley Fool article, they'll read, one Wall Street Journal or Investors Business Daily article, and they'll say, but you were talking positively about the stock. What the heck? It went down. Markets are dynamic, right? And if you understand the investment business, think about Stanley Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, William J. O'Neill, the founder of Investors Business Daily. These people, right? And there's a very, very famous Paul Tudor Jones interview, as well as Stanley Druckenmiller interview, where they've actually come out and said, we really don't like giving or disclosing what we own, because the public tends to follow us and say, oh, Paul Tudor Jones bought this, that means I have to buy it. And the reason why they say they don't want to do that is because as professional portfolio managers, they manage risk. So they could be bullish on Tuesday, bearish on Wednesday, flip the position and be short the market, right? Markets are dynamic, and depending on the macro environment, some stocks are going to perform better than others, right? Think about which stocks performed really good in 2020 and 2021. It was the very frothy, speculative, high beta growth stocks, because the global macro picture and the monetary environment was accommodative for those type of businesses. But what happened in the latter part of 2021? The monetary policy environment shifted to not accommodate those types of businesses. And as rates go up, corporations need to be fundamentally repriced in the marketplace. And we've seen that repricing all this year with growth stocks getting hammered, right? So that's why it is critical to understand the bond market and how money is priced. I think these guys are coming from like a holiday party, right?
Everybody make it!
Hey, Matt M is here. What's up, Matt M? James is here. This is Tom. Great advice on developing your own investing strategy and not blindly copy trading, especially after what we saw in 2020 and 21. I think financial influences blew up on TikTok. Yeah, I mean, definitely that's probably the worst place to generate a trade idea is from TikTok. Now, you guys know what I think about TikTok. It's anyway. And at the end of the day, like, you want to learn how to do things yourself, right? I mean, that should be the goal, You want to be an independent. You want to do things on your own. All right, you guys are about to see. Now, enough stock talk. Here's something that is really, really interesting. Is going to blow your mind. This is one of my favorite places in New York City, by the way. This is Koreatown, but oh yeah, we got a very unique view of the Empire State Building. You know what I think we're gonna do? Wait, hold on one second. I'm getting a call. Everybody, I may have to end the stream here. Give me 1 minute. All right, sorry about that. If they call back again, I'm gonna have to end it a little bit early tonight. All right, if they call back, I do have to cut it short tonight. I apologize. We'll see. All right, let's continue to press on here. Hey, Toby Sanchez says, hey, Tom, I'm headed over to Rockefeller Center. So are we. We may see you there. Now, I think, what time do they turn off the tree? At 11 o'clock, right? So I think we may just make it. Joe Driver says you should call him back. I'm gonna call him back tomorrow. If they call, it may have been a pocket dial, but if they call back again, I am gonna have to take it. M. Graham says, where the duck are you, bro? We are headed towards Herald Square, Macy's. The main Macy's at Herald Square, but this is 6th Avenue and West 33rd Street. Okay, everybody, I think we need to progress to the respondents part of the live stream. So what I mean by that is, obviously we gave a brief overview of the Institute for Supply Management PMI numbers we got out today, right? We got a reading of 49. That means officially the United States manufacturing sector is in contraction. But you guys would have known we were headed toward contraction about 8 months ago, which we already knew that from understanding how to read these PMI reports. We've been having the PMI numbers decelerate for many, many months now. But once again, if you want to follow along, and this is very important, if you type exclamation point PMI in the chat, once again, exclamation point PMI, click the link that the Nightbot is going to drop and scroll down about 3/4 of a way down the report. And the reason why we're going to do that is because we are going to be covering the most critical part of the survey. The most critical. All right, this is big stuff. This is Herald Tower to the right. Very nice apartment building. It's luxury apartments. Now, if you scroll down 3/4 of the way, you're going to see something that says what respondents are saying. So the Institute for Supply Management sends out surveys and actually asks for feedback from the purchasing managers of all of these different industry segments, right? So if you notice, right, as we are on the path to looking at leading indicators to try to hammer down and generate trade ideas, one of the things that we'll see is something. I wrote down two specific comments that I think is going to help us out a lot. Comment 1, it says consumer goods are slowing down in several of our markets. The U.S. economy seems decent, but I cannot say the same thing for the European countries. And this is a response or a quote from one of the purchasing managers out of the food, beverage, and tobacco industry. So again, I'll read it one more time. They say, consumer goods are slowing down in several of our markets. However, the United States economy seems decent. We cannot say the same thing about European countries. So keep that in mind. It seems as if the United States, according to this purchasing manager, is still teetering on the brink of doing okay, but not great. But Europe is in trouble, according to him. So as we build our macroeconomic view, there's a very, very old saying on Wall Street. And that saying is, when the United States sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. Has anybody heard that before? So when the United States sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold, because the United States is the strongest global powerhouse. So if we have an economic downturn, that means the rest of the world is really, really going to get clocked. So it's interesting that the Eurozone seems to be doing so poorly, just as the manufacturing sector in the US is contracting. So should we go into a recession here in the United States, what do you think is going to happen to a lot of European stocks? Who knows? This is the Starbucks Reserve Store, one of the Reserve Roasteries. I think Starbucks is trading near a 52-week high too. Dan says Credit Suisse got caught because of the U.S. interest rates going up. Yeah, I think Credit Suisse is trading at an all-time low, right? Daily says, can Tom read the comments live too? Yeah, we try to get to as many as possible. Unij22 says, Tom and everybody have a good night. Thank you so much, Unij. What else do we have? Oh, Edward Adams says the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree is lit 6 a.m. to midnight daily. Okay, so we'll make it. That's good. For some reason, I thought it was only lit till 11 o'clock. I don't know why I thought that. Jerry says banks are already faltering. I guess some select banks, right? Especially like Credit Suisse, maybe Deutsche Bank. Now, here's the second response that I wanted to read. And I think it's important that you know, if you guys are interested, you go through it and read it yourself. Here's an interesting response. They said, overall things are worsening. Housing starts are down. We're doing well against our competitors, but the industry overall is significantly down. We're sitting on cash that is tied up in inventory. And this is coming out of the appliances and components segment. So we can use this as the leading indicator for the housing market, right? Housing starts are down. So if you are a purchasing manager for appliances, you know, maybe this plays well into our thesis that, look, if you are in the market to purchase, you know, appliances for your home, maybe that is a washer dryer, maybe that is dishwasher, oven, stove, whatever it is, refrigerator, I think you're probably going to get some good prices and some good discounts, even starting right now and coming down the pike, because as you heard, inventories are building up, and in order to sell off inventories, you're going to need discounts. I'm not sure if you guys could see. This is a better view of the beautiful Starbucks Reserve Roastery here, right at the bottom of the greatest building on earth, the Empire State Building. But it's interesting because I think I'm seeing an entire bar up there. Maybe that it's, I'm not sure if it's connected, maybe it is. I didn't know Starbucks served alcohol. Maybe they do in these reserve stores. Yeah, Ryan Beck says, Tom, we will have more sales from stuff that weren't able to offload on Black Friday. That's very good. I think it's a good point. Now, if you guys like sort of the conversations that we talk about nightly on the live streams, if you scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email address, ooh, this guy almost got hit. And punch in your email address, you'll be signed up to receive our free investing newsletter, where we write about the U.S. equity markets, emerging markets, fixed income, and housing. Join us over there. It's free. It's a good free way to support the channel where we could all stay connected. We are going to get on a more regimented, structured schedule for the newsletter. And we want to make sure you don't miss it. So please scan the QR code, punch in your email, and you'll be signed up to receive it for free. I'm going to walk to the end of 35th Street here. Then we're going to head back this way. I just want to show you one of my favorite viewpoints of the Empire State Building. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Hey, we have Irish Dylan joining us. What's up? Good to see you. I know, Michael Joseph is like, almost every stream somebody almost gets hit. You really have to be careful in New York. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of drivers. All right, what do you guys think? And this is right outside the City University of New York Graduate Center. Dr. Murray Hill, MD, is upstairs at Starbucks Reserve. Wow, really? So they do sell alcohol there. I've been in here, which is the funny thing, but I never went upstairs. I didn't even notice. Now, Starbucks is performing well. Starbucks is performing well. I think it's near a 52-week high. Hey, Zozo Bob, what's up? Zozo Bob, I'll be back in Miami, Florida soon, my friend. Irish Dylan says, Tom, what time is it in New York? I'm actually not sure. I'm gonna guess 11 o'clock. Eric Kaufman says, Tom, you should get liquored up. I got nothing against it. I just don't drink alcohol. I've just never had a taste for it, I guess. Nothing wrong with it. I just never had really the acquired taste. Yeah, so somebody's making a comment about the strikes at Starbucks. Now, we were talking about this big unionization push. Now, I think, now don't quote me on this because I could be mixing up two different companies, so I don't want to be spreading fake news. But I think, and maybe we could Google this in real time here. I think the two Starbucks stores that decided to unionize, I think the corporate office may have closed down one of the stores. Maybe as like a retaliatory effect. I could have sworn I read something like that. Hey, For the Love of God is here. Welcome. Oh, everybody, I forgot. How could I forget the biggest thing ever? Thank God I didn't forget before the end of the stream. But tomorrow's a big day. Right? Tomorrow is the non-farm payrolls report coming out. Now, here's why I think it's... Oh, you know what? They have two locations. I never knew that. So this is the Korean restaurant, Bar and Jew. And we actually just passed the first location. I'm not sure which one's the original. But I never knew that. I never knew they had two locations. So the first location is just on the northernmost part of Union Square. And the second location is right here on 35th Street. I never knew they had multiple locations. So tomorrow we are going to get the non-farm payroll numbers out, but I think more importantly, we are going to get an update on where the unemployment rate is here in the United States. Now, as it stands now, the unemployment rate in America is 3.7%. Now, if we remember all the way back on Monday, wow, it's a lot of garbage stacked up there on the street. However, this is one of my favorite Korean restaurants called Hanbot. They have a very good lunch special, fantastic. I was actually there either last night or 2 nights ago. Very good. Now, here's why it is important, because if we think back to what happened on Monday, the Federal Reserve President of New York, John Williams, he was speaking at the Economic Club of New York. Now, if you listen to his speech, something was very, very telling, and that was he expects the unemployment rate to be anywhere between 4.5% to 5% before a material pivot, which would mean either a pause in interest rate hikes or, number two, cutting in general. So here's why I think we need to pay very close attention to this. The last two non-farm payroll numbers, well, number one, the unemployment rate actually went down in one of them. And then number two, it went back up to where it was. So if we actually see the unemployment rate go down again, we could be in for some pretty difficult times as it relates to equities, because you could pretty much throw a Fed pivot narrative out the window. But we'll cover that tomorrow. So big day tomorrow, non-farm payrolls, also unemployment numbers. Edward O, thank you so much for your $2 donation. I appreciate it very much. This is, hey Tom, hope you're having a great and safe evening. Edward O, I am, and I wish the same for you. Jordan from Canada. This is Tom. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. I know, Eric Kaufman is like, it smells good. FredX it looks a little bit ratty. FredX, surprisingly, I think we've seen more garbage tonight on the stream, but fewer rats. Now, last night on the live stream, there was rats popping out of every single corner. And I think last night's live stream we saw, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, we saw the world's smallest rat ever on the stream. Julia M., thank you for joining tonight. I appreciate it. Have a very, very good Friday. And I hope you had a fantastic start to December. And please finish the month and the year strong. Hopefully you have a good Q4. Now we actually do have to pick up the pace of the walking here because we're already at the 1.5 hour mark and we are lengths away of Radio City. Chicken Winner. This is really rats, oh my gosh. Somebody says 2023 mild depression, you heard it here first. Well, I mean, that's what the PMI numbers and all the leading indicators are saying, right? That's what all the leading indicators are pointing to is a mild recession, right? A recession. But we'll see, maybe we'll have a soft landing, I don't know. Abdullah, welcome. Hey, Vincent. This is nothing better than great conversations and scenes from the best city in the world. Thank you, Vincent, for joining us. I appreciate it very much. And thank you for watching. Joy YJ says, hello, watching from Seoul, South Korea during my lunchtime. Hate to go back to work. Welcome to all of our Korean viewers. Speaking of Korea, hopefully I will be in South Korea in February. I'm very, very excited to visit. I've never been to Korea before. And I'm looking forward to it. Now, I don't know if I'll be in Seoul. I will be in a city called Osan, near the Osan Air Base, where I believe the American military has one of the largest Air Force bases there in Osan. And it's funny, my friend actually, he's still in the Air Force. He is a TAC-P. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that. It's like the Air Force Special Forces, TAC-P. And he was stationed in Osan for 2 years and loved it. Loved everything about Korea. So I'm excited to check it out too. Ryan Iglesias, thank you so much, my friend, for your 5 CAD donation. It says, hey Tom, it's official, you are my favorite streamer. Have a Dunkin' Donut on me. But Tim Hortons is better. Thank you so much, Ryan Iglesias, I appreciate it. Yeah, Tim Hortons is a Canadian chain, right? The only Tim Hortons that we have here in New York is, I believe, in Jamaica Station. So anytime that I'm taking a flight somewhere, if you take the Long Island Railroad to Jamaica Station, right as you get on the air train, you will see the Tim Hortons, and then you can take the air train to John F. Kennedy, JFK. Oh, Tim Hortons is in the boroughs? I didn't know that. Chicken Winner, thank you for your very generous and kind $5 donation as well. I appreciate it. This is a great video. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. All right, I'm gonna have to put down the camera in a minute. because I got to plug in the battery. I think the phone's going to die right as we get to Radio City Music Hall. We're passing the Bank of China right here. Now, on the streams, we've also been talking about the commercial paper market in China, or the Chinese commercial paper market. That is absolutely imploding, by the way. I mean, if you thought there was illiquid markets back in 2020, check out the Crane Shares bond fund, Total China bond fund. Talk about a disaster, horror show. My God. All right, I got to put you guys down for a minute. But you'll have a very good view of Bryant Park. All right, we're good to go. We are going to pass the Salesforce Tower. Salesforce, big enterprise software SaaS company specializing in CRM software, customer relationship management. Also happens to be the ticker symbol CRM. And their co-CEO is stepping down. So Mark Benioff will be the only sole CEO. After, I think, starting January 31st of 2023. DM says there was a Tim Hortons on 7th Avenue and 32nd Street, and one in Penn Station. Really? Wow, DM, 32nd Street. I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that.
As far as you can.
Where's the Tim Hortons in Penn Station? Oh, I think there was one, but maybe it closed. I don't know. But DM, good to see you. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Ian says, Tom, did you see the video of the theft at the Apple store? I did. It's wild. Now, you'd be surprised, but theft is actually impacting corporate earnings now quite substantially. And that's why I think there's actually going to be big changes and there's going to be something done about it. Because once you have a material impact on corporate America and on the bottom line of these companies, that's when you see material change. So we saw this at a Target's earnings, ticker symbol TGT. We also saw this out of Rite Aid. And we covered this. We did 2 deep dives on those 2 companies. I think Target had about a 3, what was it? I forget the exact amount. But they're having a really, really big impact from shoplifting, unfortunately. Also, the CEO of Rite Aid came on the earnings call saying that shoplifting was so bad in New York City that it forced them to close down some of their stores. So we will see. But I did see that. It was almost bizarre because in the video it had everybody shopping as normal, right? It had all of the Apple employees like helping customers, and then it just had people ransacking the place. And everybody seemed pretty normal about it. Molly Duran, I know. Well, I mean, in all fairness, to be quite honest with you guys, I'll give you one more shot of the Empire State Building. If I was working as a retail employee, right, at a retail store, my job is not a bodyguard. Now, I'm all for going above and beyond, you know, to do good work. but I'm not gonna put my life in jeopardy for an Apple Watch, right? I'd probably let the guy take it too. I mean, maybe that's a hot take. Maybe some of you would disagree with that, but I'm not, it's not none of my business. Now, here's another thing I noticed. Chances are if you walk into a drugstore here in New York, they're starting to lock up the toothpaste even, and just like the basic toiletries. So if you want to buy like shavers or toothpaste, deodorant, it's all locked behind like glass. Cowboys, hell no, I would let them take the whole store. I mean, if my life is in jeopardy, right? Of course. Hey, Chew is here. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. I very much appreciate it. It says it's nice weather outside, but it is cold. You're right, it is. It's nice weather, it's not too windy, but to your point, it's cold. It's freezing, I'm freezing. Brad's Brains is a 17-year-old working at Target. I would back up security. I literally chased and caught people. I was a big young kid. Yeah, maybe to get like a thrill or a rush, but you know, if we remember from Target's earnings call, one of the things that caught my eye is a lot of this now is very, very systematic and organized in nature. These are organized retail sort of crime rings where they're very calculated. They know what they're doing. It's like organized retail theft. So I don't know. I wouldn't really want any sort of like retaliation against me. So I think I would just say, look, I mean, you know, if the police aren't going to do anything, you know, why should I do something about it? All right, we're making our push uptown. Now, I forgot this is the first day that the tree is lit, so I think we're going to have some really, really aggressive foot traffic here, so I'm not even sure we'll be able to make it, but we'll give it a try. We'll give it our best shot. Hey, Fairway, welcome. First name, last name, says I am not going to be a bodyguard for minimum wage. Yeah, I mean, I think it also has to do with worker safety too. Now, I think, right, and again, I don't know, I don't work at these establishments, but I think these employees are trained not to intervene, right? Because let's say if an employee intervenes, right, and God forbid I get hurt, well, I could just sue the company and I would probably win that lawsuit, right? So I think corporations are like, look, theft is getting out of hand. We'll let the people steal what's on the shelves, but if our employees get involved and they get hurt, well, we're gonna have to pay out millions of dollars in this litigation. So I think they're advising the employees just to sort of take a chill and sit back. You know, thinking about it, if I owned a store or a shop, I would say the same thing to my employees. I'd be like, look, let them take it, because the employee could turn around and sue the corporation. They'd probably win too. All right, speaking about Investors Business Daily, we are passing the News Corporation building here in Midtown. News Corporation owns the Wall Street Journal, Investors Business Daily, and Barron's. Daily Refinement, thank you so much for your very generous and kind $5 donation. Says thanks for awesome walk. And chat, fellow YouTuber was wondering how you can get such great audio on a live. Lived on the Upper West Side for 3 years. So we used to use a microphone. Thank you for your donation. We used to have a microphone, but we don't use the microphone anymore. We just use an iPhone 13 mini. So I don't really do anything special for the audio. I was actually under the impression that the audio is not very good, because we don't have a mic. So that's good news, that the audio is actually pretty good. But thank you again, I appreciate it. Upper West Side is one of my favorite parts of the city, especially for living, right? If you have kids, Upper West Side is the place to be, because not only are you in between Central Park, but you can take advantage of Riverside Park as well. I spent a lot of time in my college soccer days in Riverside Park. That's where we would practice sometimes, as well as the DeWitt Clinton field in Hell's Kitchen. We're almost there. We almost made it, my friends. So we started off the stream on Canal Street, and now we are here, 49th Street. You can see Radio City Music Hall in the distance. We are now approaching. So up here you'll see UBS. Also, not too far away from here is BNP Paribas, which is a French investment bank. And then you have Mizuho, which is a Japanese bank. And speaking of Japan, great game today. Japan pulled off a massive, major upset in the World Cup. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days per week between New York City and Miami, and we'd love for you guys to join the next one tomorrow. Monica B, thank you so much. Says, hey Tom, welcome. Yeah, Michael Joseph is starting to get crowded. All right, we'll walk around this side and then go here. I think that's going to be the less crowded route to the Christmas tree. Faith Finds Fashion says your audio is great along with your content. Thank you, Faith. You're very, very kind. I appreciate it. I know, Fairway says Japan played a completely different second half. It was an awesome game. Awesome, awesome game. Tom has a radio voice for sure. I also have a face fit for radio too. We're going down here. We're gonna go down here, and I think that'll bring us right to the 2-hour mark. Ooh, I think it's gonna be too crowded. Let's see. But I think we covered a lot today on the stream. For those of you who are just joining, we covered the Institute for Supply Management PMI numbers. We talked about how we could use those PMIs as a leading indicator of the economy to predict GDP growth and to predict the trajectory of the S&P 500. But we also drilled down a little bit more to read what the respondents are saying to try to generate individual trade ideas. Tomorrow is going to be a big day. Friday, non-farm payroll numbers are out. Unemployment rate, updated unemployment rate is going to come out. Let's see if we can cross here. I'm not sure we can because it seems like everything is all blocked off. We'll try this way. Faith Finds Fashion, thank you so much for your $2 donation. Appreciate it. Western Mass Dave says Tom has a voice that commands attention. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you, my friend. God bless you. For the Love of God says, come on, man. He is from Long Island. Yeah, that's true. I have. So Cowboy says, have you seen the Rockettes? I have. Very, very nice. Now, I'm thinking about going to see it this year because the past couple of years, obviously you couldn't do it because of the big C, COVID. All right, we're getting close. I think the city did a good thing by closing down the streets around the tree because there's obviously going to be so many tourists coming to take a look at it. And I don't know, it's just better this way. It's safer, I guess. All right, the suspense is building. All right, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a teaser here. So that is the star atop of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. And the Christmas tree is right behind here. All right, what do you guys think? Wow, that looks awesome. Wow. That looks really, really good. All right, I think I'm gonna give that a solid. That's a 9.8. That's a 9.8 for sure. Now, if you guys like this tree, tomorrow I think what we may be able to do is take a walk down to Wall Street and see the tree outside of the New York Stock Exchange. Now, we already saw it, but we have not seen it all lit up. And I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised about how nice it looks. DM says it's beautiful. I got to watch the lighting yesterday. Hey DM, did you come and see it in person or did you watch it on TV? It's really nice. Now, I'm assuming they're going to be closing off the entire street for some time now, right? Wow. Design ideas, thank you so much. Ten out of 10 for this crew right here. Fantastic. Nice. Very good. Wow, those guys are fantastic. Good job.
Thank you. Wait, can we get the video?
Huh?
Can we get the video?
Sure, if it's Walks on Wall Street.
Walks on Wall Street?
Yeah. It's like a live stream. We do a financial live stream.
It's
But
financial live streams.
But yeah, it's on there. You guys were great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, congrats.
Wait, where's it on live stream? Oh, fuck!
It's on.
Walks of Wall Street?
Walks in Wall Street, yeah. But you guys are good. You guys are very talented. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want
Walks
another
on Wall
one?
Street.
Yeah, sure.
Dude, we got it.
One more?
It's for
Yeah,
Walks
one
on
more.
Wall
One more,
Street.
Carol. Yeah. You guys are fantastic. The talent is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my. Yeah, but it's on YouTube. We do our live stream.
Oh, nice. Gosh, I'll check it out.
Yeah, you guys are really talented, fantastic stuff, man. Really fantastic.
We did.
Silent Night was pretty
Silent
solid.
Night was really
Oh, come on, you faithful. There it is.
Wait, can we do Silent Night?
Objectively.
All right, guys. We'll end with the very kind singers here.
Turn out, everybody.
All right, we'll end with you guys singing, then we got to cut it loose. But you guys are fantastic. I mean, my God.
Ready? 1, 2.
Okay, let's see.
Joyful and triumphant, O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of ages. O come, let us adore him. O come, let us adore him. O come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord.
Oh my God, it's fantastic, guys. Congrats.
Will_JUDD_music on Instagram.
We'll do it. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Y'all, you guys are watching a really cool guy right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Very talented, fantastic. Thank you. The viewers enjoy it.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys.
I'm gonna walk that way.
All right, team. I think we got to end on that. I mean, my God, if we don't end on that, I don't know what else we could top that. So, team, that's all we have for tonight. Amazing impromptu Christmas caroling here outside of the Rockefeller Center. We talked about the PMI reports, and we will see you guys tomorrow. So, Toby Sanchez, thank you. Matthew M. Edward, thank you so much. Christy in Iowa. Pete, NYC. Austin City Limits, Bagels and Walks. Into the Mighty Bull. Have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere, and you just need to know where to look. We'll see you guys all tomorrow back here from the greatest city on earth, New York, 8:30 Eastern Time. Bye for now.